Hey guys, Lemon02, currently getting ready to execute a cube draft here. This is an interesting pack. I mean, we know what we're going to take, which is Mox Ruby, but let's consider the rest of the pack. I don't really like the 6, the Carnage Tyrant up first. Grave Titan's a fine 6, but I tend to find I like Inferno Titan probably the best of all the Titans, or, well, in Cube. Primeval Titan's the most powerful by far. And honestly, in Cube, Grave Titan and Inferno Titan may be the two best. With Sun and Frost Titan kind of going last. There's a Steam Vents in here, which would probably be my first pick if the Ruby was not in here. There's also an argument to Phyrexian Revoker, and hear me out. The reason there's an argument to Phyrexian Revoker is there's no good white or red aggro card in this pack, which definitely sets a signal downrange that that deck may or may not be open if someone tries to initially open like a Sulfuric Vortex wants to force into red or something like that. Blue is going to be taken out of this because I think both Pierce and Compulsive Research are fine cards. Pierce probably a little bit better than Compulsive Research depending on the deck. But Compulsive goes good in green because you have Ramp and it's easy to do. So just something worth noting. And then there is a Counterspell. We just passed upon two decent blue cards. There's a Mother of Runes, which would allow us to go into like a white deck if we wanted to. Or we could take the blue-red fetch land, knowing that we just passed one of the top fetchable lands for it. There's also a Volcanic likely somewhere, but it's going to be a higher pickup as well. If we're to take Counterspell here, what could we wheel? Well, the answer is probably like Day of Judgment, or maybe one of the two black cards, and we go into Control if we were to take Counterspell. I think what I like doing here is either taking the Scalding Tarn or the Mother of Runes. If you take Mother of Runes, you may wheel Dismember, but probably not. Another option would be taking Dismember, trying to wheel Mother of Runes, but I think what I'm going to do here is pick up the Mother of Runes over Scalding Tarn, which I know is very controversial, but I also know what I passed in that first pack, and I know that there's a decent chance that I can jump into this archetype pretty freely. In this pack right here, again, like I have a choice between Kythian and Porcelain Legionnaire. I think Kythian is better in this deck than Porcelain Legionnaire is. Well, they're both good cards, but Porcelain Legionnaire goes into more, and he's also just an easy pick because he doesn't require mana to cast. Well, he doesn't require colored mana to cast. You can cast him for that, but oftentimes you don't. Also, seeing Kythian go third, I mean, it's not that a huge sign, but I know that anyone behind us is not going to really be incentivized to be in this archetype. So, this is an interesting pack, too. One of the things you could do here is take Armageddon, because it is the top end of the deck, of this deck that I'm currently drafting. But I think the correct pick is actually to take Scrubland here, because this deck often pairs off most effectively with black. And there are two Armageddons in this format, so oftentimes you can pick up another one. This is the first pack where we really don't see anything that we may want, so I'm going to take the Muldrifter here, and unfortunately have to eat a Humble Pie and possibly go into blue. I'm not Humble Pie. Muldrifter's a great card, but it's easily this or Signet, and I think I like Muldrifter better than either of those two. And again, there's no white card here, but there is a Volcanic Island, so we're getting punished a little bit, but this also means that we may be wheeling some good stuff. Alright, so there's some burn here. There's also a Tropical Island, which I'm going to take because this draft is kind of going interestingly. Alright, there's a Fetch Land and a Taiga. We go to a very good Rug mana base if we wanted to. Mother of Runes looks like it's out because it looks like red deck wins may be open, but white is being drafted pretty heavily. For take Taiga, it gives us perfect Rug mana, and there's an Obstinate Baloth in here, which is fine. Or we could take the Taiga. Not quite sure here, guys. I think, well, I think what I'm going to do is take Misty because I already have two fetch lands here. The Revoker does wheel, which is interesting to me, so I'm going to take the Revoker because white still could be open and maybe someone jumped off of it. It's really weird how this draft has gone, though. You typically don't see them go this way. Is it Gush or is it Acidic Slime? Or it could be Green Sun Zenith. I'm going to take Zenith because I think the card is a very powerful effect. Someone definitely forced white, and I think someone is forcing red. So it would be unlikely if we saw Armageddon come around. But seeing dual lands go that late, I mean, there's probably a couple folks forcing archetypes right now. Because typically speaking, duels are high initial pickups. But I'm not going to complain. We could end up with a much better deck because of it, because we noticed the trend in this cube is toward taking likely fairly monochromatic cards. So we tried doing the same thing ourselves, and it just epic level failed, right? What an epic level fail. We figured it out, within a couple picks, but it did not work out too well. Alright, there's Reminep Excavator, which is a pretty powerful card. If lands continue to be evaluated lowly, then maybe we could use it. We could also take Oath of Druids, try to go that route. No, we're probably not Oath of Druidsing in this deck. I'm going to pick up the Ramanap Excavator. It could be a pretty fun card to play, actually, too. If I get like a Strip Mine, maybe I can do that. If I get a couple more fetch lands, I could probably do that. And, I don't mind having a fun draft every once in a while. I mean, we could take Goblin Dark Dwellers, but no, I'm going to take the Whisperwood Elemental. I think it's just a fine card. It's not exceptional, but it is tough to beat on the ground. It makes a lot of guys really fast. We also saw Llanowar Elves pretty late, so unless someone else jumped on the green train, because these are not like the highest of green pickups. I mean, like, it's could have a red deck too, Pelucranos and whatnot. Flame Slash is better than Koth in this deck, I think, if we're going to play red regardless, or if we're going to play red as well. But we do have access to it while Volk right now, and the Mox Ruby. Okay, well, and there is an Emerald. So, based on what we've seen happen so far, what can we expect to wheel from this pack? I wouldn't be shocked if the Wandering Fumarole came around. We gave up a lot of decent blue in the last pack. Ancestral Vision should probably come around. It's not really that epic level good. There's also Rofellos in this pack, which is really kind of strong. I mean, it could come around. It probably won't. And then we can pick up Huntmaster. Huntmaster's a lot better than Pelucranos, I tend to think. There's Oppo, but I think what I'm going to do here is take Strip Mine and hope to wheel Courser of Crewfix. There's also, Mystic Confluence, Force of Will. But I think Strip Mine is going to be just a little bit better in this deck. Chase, Architect of Thought. Manglehorn is just fine. It's kind of another value dude. And we may be like a value deck. We may not be playing Volk either. Well, here I think I tend to like the Firebolt best. Maybe we are playing red still. I mean, it does give me removal options, right? I'll try it out here. And it's kind of cool because I've never played Rug in this format. I think I like Plow Under quite a bit. Warm Power Stone is fine. Master, I kind of already have that effect. I wouldn't mind wheeling the Plow Under, but I'm going to pick up the 1-mana Accelerant that fixes two of my colors. Well, fixes one of my colors. And gives me X in another color. If I want to splash white, I suppose I could. And picking up 2 Moxon's not bad, because, I mean, if we have less Mana Dorks, we could still probably get some of these bigger dudes on the board. Alright, there's a Mana Leak, which is probably what I'm going to end up taking over the Botanical Sanctum, I think. Because I need to have a reason for playing blue, right? And right now it's only Muldrifter, and my lands just allow me to play blue, so if I get good early blue pickups, I can take them. But I think Mana Leak's going to be pretty optimal in this list because I don't have a good mid-curve right now. Like 2s and 3s. It doesn't really hit until I'm at 4 and 5. And I suppose Muldrifter can go down here as well in this range. I wouldn't mind making my Ramanap Excavator playable as well. Like, get some good cards for it. Oracle of Moldiah is really good value. And Nissa Worldwaker is also quite powerful. But she's more of a ramp card. I think I like the value guy here. And if we wheel that Courser, that'd be sweet. But it's a double green card, so maybe we get it. I do have to remember, though, that fetch lands are a pretty high pickup for this deck due to the Ramanap. I'd actually rather play this than Crucible of Worlds, I think. Honestly, creature kill may be less common than artifact kill in this cube, or at least more commonly main decked, or to a higher extent main decked. What do I think of this deck? This deck looks really fair right now. I don't know how good that's going to make it. We'll see. But it does kind of have a few interesting things going on. I mean, this guy maybe, maybe not. We'll see. I'm going to leave him in for now. I mean, a 5/5 is still a dude who can kill someone, right? And still beat you down. Alright, probably Avacyn's Pilgrim over another 4-drop for the deck. Does not fix for any of my colors, but does make a colorless, which is fine. And then Rofelos comes around. That's very interesting. So does Huntmaster. So does Nissa. I'm going to pick up Rofelos, I suppose. Shardless Agent. Incinerate. I think I'm supposed to pick up Incinerate here, guys. And maybe maybe we're not playing what we think we're playing. I'm gonna. This is an odd one. I'm gonna pick up the regrowth for now. I think over young Peasy. I don't know. We got a Rofellos, which is interesting. So that leads me to want to play a lot more green cards now. Sure. And yep. Well, Jace the Mind Sculptor or Time Walk. I think here we're going to end up taking the Time Walk. What are we hoping to wheel out of this pack? Well, certainly not the Jace the Mind Sculptor, but I will take a Time Walk. In a creature-based deck, I think they tend to be pretty good. All right, Dak Vaden, I think, is probably a must pick up. I mean, we have the sort of rug mana going on right now. What do we wheel out of this pack? Possibly the Devoted Druid or the Elvish Mystic. But Dak Vaden's just too good. I mean, Cryptic Command's also a very powerful card, but I don't think triple red or blue requirements are something that we're going to be interested in this deck. There is a Wall of Roots, which is okay. There's an Ancient Grudge, which actually could wheel. There is a Mana of Confluence, which I don't mind, because I don't think you can ever have good enough mana. The problem is it kind of runs at odds with Rofellos, right? But I think here, I mean, Grid Monolith is very, very powerful, but like I don't feel like I'm that sort of deck right now, guys. I don't feel like that's what we're doing. Alright, there is a Woodfall Primus, which is a big dude. Also just Char. Just kills things and stuff. Primal Command, meh. It's a tougher pack, actually. Not quite sure. I think I'm going to take Char here. Alright, there's a fetch land that gets what for me? None of my lands, unfortunately. Arid Mesa gets Volcanic Island, and it can get red for me if I play some amount of red lands, or red mana. There's a Vivian Reed, which just gets me creatures and blows up artifacts, enchantments, or a creature with flying, right? Probably wheel one of these cards that we can play. I think I'm going to take Vivian Reed here, actually, guys. Alright, there's this pack. Windswept Heath gets me the Trop. And I think as the pickup here, maybe we wheel the Bloodbraid Elf. The Chain Lightning would be nice, too, but I do have the... Alright, I think here it's probably got to be Inferno Titan, right? I mean, Green Sun Zenith is looking weaker and weaker. So I'm going to take the Inferno Dad, I think, over Virtuous Gearhulk. Yeah, the card quality alone on Inferno Titan is just so much higher. There's a Lotus Cobra with 2 fetch lands and the ability to get them back with Ramonap Excavator. There's also Zealous Conscript, which is quite good, but I think I'm going to pick up the Lotus Cobra because I'm not really sure on this gentleman right here. And there was this pack. It could just be a Search for Tomorrow, or it could be a Wall of Blossoms. Wall of Blossoms is kind of a fair card, right? This whole deck's kind of just fair. Maybe it's just this. Put it down as a 1-drop. The Wall of Blossoms does block and is probably better in certain matchups, but I think Search for Tomorrow is... We're going to be a base green deck, a 3-color base green deck. Splashing a lot of stuff. We're going to be mid-range, right? And this is like kind of coming together looking like a pile, but I don't think it's... It's probably going to be a 2-1 deck, right? But hopefully. Let's consider Green Suns. Alright, the Mystic came around. As did the Grim. But I'm going to pick up Mystic here. Mystic's fine. Wall of Roots. Is there anything else I'd play here? No, there is not. So I'll pick up Wall of Roots. It's fine. There's really not much else I would play here. We could play the Rofellos. There's Crucible of Worlds, which is interesting. I mean, frankly, it's probably the pickup, right? Sylvan Library of Braid. So I have Dak, I have Manglehorn, I have Vivian Reed. I don't think I'm opposed to taking the Sylvan Library here. Nature's Claim for the board. And then Virtuous Gearhulk. That's another card I'm not upset to play, right? This deck is very fair. It's got a little bit of everything going on, right? I don't think I'm that high on Wall of Roots right now. I don't mind the one-mana Accelerants, but Wall of Roots just feels like it's a little out of place in the deck. So we're 30 -6 with 2 Moxen. That puts us at 16 lander with 3 Mana Dorks and 2 Moxen. I think I like 16 lands for this build. We do have quite a few 5s, but this actually serves as a functional 3 right here. Do you want Pelucranos or Master of the Wild Hunt? I don't know per se which is better, and I don't think this is a Rofelos deck. I feel like it's going to be too awkward. I feel like this is a pretty solid 3-color deck. I mean, it's green X. It's base green, but I mean, I could put it in over Flame Slash. I think I'm going to try it as is. This deck should at least be fun to play. Yeah, I don't think I'm a fan of Green Sun Zenith in like a 3-color kind of mishmash mid-range deck like this. I think we are correct to play 16 in this, though. I mean, it's got a bunch of fetches, which is going to thin it, but it also has 3 Dorks down here. It's got Lotus Cobra for mana fixing, and it's got 2 Moxen that are both on color. The problem is Avacyn's Pilgrim is basically a colorless land, right? It's got a little bit of game. I mean, it has some issues and liabilities, too, though. I mean, I don't know. We could want to run Green Sun, so I'm not sure on it. Oh, and it's got Search for Tomorrow. Yeah, this is really a 1-drop. Get over here, buddy. No, I guess you can't. Okay. Yeah, Muldrift is really a 3. And Search for Tomorrow is really a 1. I mean, you can hardcast it, but it doesn't really feel good to hardcast Search for Tomorrow. You generally want to do that out of your opener. So we got 4 turn 1 mana plays plus a bunch of Moxen. This deck's not horrendous. I mean, it's got decent mana, is what it's got going for it. All right, this hand's a keep. It's not exceptional. I'm going to keep this, though. I mean, it's very slow, but it does have a Strip Mine to kind of slow things down a bit. I think I'm just going to lead on a Mountain here and say go. I don't have any red instants at this point. Hopefully they play like a Dork or something out. Nope, nothing. All right, this turn I am going to lead on Forest and just say go again. And hopefully they play like a creature of some variety out and we get to Incinerate it here. Okay, they play out a Signet instead. Then the question becomes what's more relevant, double blue or white or double black. I think I'm going to opt for blue here and just say go. All right, well, I must have guessed wrong. I'm going to just evoke this. If they want to counter it, they can go ahead and counter it. They do not. Alright, cool. And if they have like a Jace, oh, they're playing Esper Pie then. That's cool. That was a pretty cool pickup right there. If they're playing Esper Pie Control, I'm going to get this down, see if they want to counter it with like a Dissolve or something like that. This may be a Mana Drain. Oh, a Spell Queller? Okay. You have Daze too? I will cast this. Go ahead. I have a Planeswalker here. Okay, Gideon, ally of Zendikar. Okay. I'm looking for my land drop here. That was a good pickup. Take a bit of damage here. I'm going to Time Walk right now. And hopefully not run into a Spell Pierce. You got a Pierce too? No. Okie doke. They could try to fire up the Colonnade here. Alright, Mystical Tutor. Well, can they burn me out? Because I did take a lot of damage off my library there. It was a pretty greedy line. I just got a lot of cards out of my deck, though, so it felt pretty good. A Bribery. That's not going to work out as well against me, I don't think. Okay, this is my best creature, actually. Is there anything that kills this thing? Okay. I have the blue cards. So they're going to get the 4/4, right? Whisperwood Elemental. And I can double bolt it here. That's down to 6, but I do a lot of damage hitting them. I don't have a Manglehorn on top either anymore, which I was planning on using to blow up the Dimir Signet to keep them off of activating the Celestial Colonnade to attack overhead. Because I actually think they could race me right now. Okay, Virtuous Gearhulk making itself an 8/8. Well, we know that we no longer... Oh, I can blow it up with Vivian Reed. This is a non-target... Is this any target artifact? Okay. I would like to make my land drop here. I can steal it back. That's gross. Alright, top. Oh, God. Come on, Moto. You kill me. Okay, yeah, they're just done. Okay, yeah, Bribery... I guess it's decent against my deck, but it's not really epic level. At least I didn't see the mana leak either. They did not see the mana leak. They just saw some random green dudes and some manas and whatnot. That's kind of one of the cool things about this style of deck, though, is like it's kind of hard to predict like what the F is going on, right? It's just so much stuff. It's kind of a mishmash, right? It's just mid-range. They're at a 41 special themselves, though, so can't talk too much crap in my own deck. The 41 special, generally not right to go to 41, guys, just because your mana is going to be screwy because of it. Well, if this hand had a forest, it'd be pretty darn good, but unfortunately it does not have a forest. It's got to go back. I mean, it would be gambling otherwise. Hand's good. I think I am intended... I'm going to... Should I top that or bottom it? I'm going to bottom that. Just because I have a turn 1 library, I don't think... We'll see what we get here. Alright. I don't have a lot of action in this hand, so I'm going to have to use library aggressively to find action, and then I'll use Strip Mine to buy myself time. I would like to hit a Signet. Okay, Signet, cool. That was a good pull. Yep. Okay, go. Just gonna cast this, find one of my islands. Time Walk here. Also get a shuffle effect, which is not irrelevant. Good pull there. Good pull. Deck. I'm just gonna ditch my forest, I think. Do I need the dork out? Not really. Okay. Okay, Lingering Souls could be problematic, but I'm looking for an Inferno Titan at this point, basically. I want to draw her, and I want to put him on top of my deck, I think. Can't do maths. Or do I? Alright, so Nobe, cool. I don't think they can race this with spirits. Yep. They're attacking deck Fadon. There's actually an argument trying to race me. I don't know what they have in their deck to try to burn, though. So deck goes down to 3. Cool. Okay, yep. I'm going to do this right now. Find the trop. Use deck. Pitch both these. These got to start being blocked is the unfortunate part. I mean, I think they're just dead this turn, right, if they don't block. No, I guess they're not. Alright. I like to knock Dak out, but then they are quite dead, I think, unless, yeah, they blow up the board. What was I drawing next? Where was my Inferno Titan at? I was looking for that fella. He was not going to be shown, was he? Alright, well, he must have been very close to the bottom. That was an interesting match. We kind of mana screwed our opponent the last game, which is kind of the deck is trying to do some of that. Like, it's got a lot of artifact hate. Obviously, it has a strip mine combo. That's like its only combo. Otherwise, it's pretty fair. Yeah, that's a good hand. This is definitely a keeper. I don't know if you're supposed to play out the Sylvan. I mean, it just depends on matchup, right? If you play out Sylvan first, you play out Lotus Cobra. There's an argument to either. You know what I think I like? I think I like seeing how they lead out. So I'm just gonna play Sylvan first, I think. No, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have the possibility of hitting the nut draw, which is a fetch land here, and then just getting a Mull Drifter down hard cast next turn. So that's 3, 4. That's 3 mana plus it's 5 mana. Yeah, if I hit that, discard. That would be kind of savage. All right, dismember. Yeah, you can dismember it if you like. You got to go down to what? A very low life total. Cool. Okay. If they're playing a lot of discard, I see black and I think discard. I don't mind playing my hand short. I just I want to get Sylvan down because I think it's going to be able to draw me more cards against like a mono black style deck. All right, it's black red with a signet. Okay. Well, cool. Maybe if I get lucky, I can blow that thing up, or I can get a land and set my top deck up to use Oracle of Moldiah for a lot of value and force him to remove again, and then maybe set up a Drifter on another turn. That was a good pull right there. Alrighty. Okie doke. This can't get the Volcanic Island. I'm going to get the Time Walk, though, I think. Demonic Tutor, want to burn this thing off? They do not know I have the Ramen app. Another good find would be Strip Mine, right? I assume you burn the Oracle off, right? If you have burn, maybe what would they tutor for? Maybe they're combo deck then. All right, so they're trying to combo off. Don't really want Mox Ruby. Can we get it shuffled away? Okay. Yeah, they're done. Strip mine on top. Boom, boom. Goes the dynamite. Next turn. Pretty cool. Interesting game. My one combo. Although I do just have some decent cards. I mean, I have some bad green cards, but like they just win games. They can beat down and win games, right? An Oracle, like, well, it's a 2/2 and it's very innocuous looking. Like it's a lot of value. It can accrue you a lot of cards. Not saying by any means it will win this, but strip mine locking someone is a way to make them or to stop them from comboing off. Alright, well, if they are indeed a combo deck, this hand does not have a lot to offer against them. Although, I really think I'm supposed to keep this. I mean, yeah. I think they're like a sneak attack deck, is what they were trying to set up. I don't have a relevant play next turn, so I'm not going to fire the bolt off just in the hopes of like starting to chip away at them. Signet. Okay. Yeah, I think next turn we may see them drop like a sneak attack or something like that. Alright, I'm going to pass and leave up disallow. They don't know if I have that or not. I do not have that, but I will at a minimum act like I do. And they could also just not give a shit either. They'd be like, whatever, show me it, which I wouldn't fault them for. I showed them a lot of green cards last game. So if they're on the sneak attack plan and they straight up have the nuts, then we can get had by them here. The sneak attack. Colgan's Command. I'm going to sit here and, like, I'm Hollywooding them right now. I'm going to sit here and wait a second and debate this. I'm not really debating it. That's cool. You got my mocks. Yes, I could hardcast that right now, and maybe I should have. But I want to continue this dialogue because I feel like they are on a combo deck. They're not making land drops, which means their hand is probably soft to counter Magic. So I kind of like this deliberate slow play. I like by myself. Alright, we're going to start throwing burn at face. Because sometimes you just rip into it too, right? I'm decreasing the likelihood now that I have counter magic, therefore possibly convincing them that I had a bluff. And now what I'm hoping to try to do is get them to play out their sneak attack, which I do believe they have, possibly before drawing into another mountain. I'm really not an advocate for just running this Inferno Titan out there, so I feel like there's something better in their hand than it, even if they're not lands. And right now, I'm very comfortable just playing this guy out there. And getting all of the forest out of my deck. They could kill him. Alright, they got a kill spell, which actually, I'm glad to see it. This is cool. They're going to kill him because, yep, you got it. I mean, I could mana leak that, but, no. No thanks. I'll get my value where I can. That's a 2-for-1 right there. Given I am way down on cards right now. But I do want to be able to hit another land drop and then be able to play out my Titan. And leave up. Thing in the ice? Yeah, okay. Maybe they are on jack and shit. But what was the rationalization for them keeping their hand? I'm going to blow up their Orzhov Signet here. Again, just limit them on manas. Yep. And next turn, my hope is to hit a land, cast out the Inferno Titan, post attacks, hitting their thing in the ice with the Manglehorn. They may allow me to try to use Firebolt there. Alright, what do you got? Gonna Flame Slash this dude? Okay. Inferno Titan. Okay. No thanks, sir. Show me a daze. Alright, yep. I'm going to play it out, say go. If they have a Wrath, this is bad, but it would have to be Damnation. I had to hit a Black Source. If they have Sneak Attack and they have Emrakul, I'm dead. Which is kind of what I've been fearing this whole time. Twister, okay. Well, do you have me? Because I have you very badly next turn if you don't have me now. Can you combo me? Okay, Chrome Mox, do you have the Sneak Attack Emrakul? Don't want to see that, but it could be what's happening here. Got him close, but close is nothing. It's not what we needed. I think this is a Sneak Attack Emrakul. Okay, this is irrelevant. They know I have burn, so maybe they're just a fair deck, and I'm overestimating them. Maybe I'm like not underplaying, overplaying my hand. All right, show me a Force of Will, or don't. Okay, that was a weird game. I probably played a little more scared than I had to. I was playing very carefully there because my deck is so fair, and like it's. Honestly, I think the bluff to just look scary was more important. It was my intuition, really, is what it was. I really felt like I was going to get sneak attacked out there. I was just like, what do they tutor for? If you're playing DT and you don't do anything on a turn before you're very close to dying, like I feel like you probably have some sort of horrific combo that wins instantly. And that's kind of why I did that in that second game. I was like, all right, I'm just going to like continue to be like, no, my hand is counter. I have reactive cards, is what I want him to think, until I didn't want him to think that anymore, and I wanted to go for the win. And we actually drew into the interaction, which was not relevant for a combo, but allowed our win con to stay alive. Yeah, hand's good. This is definitely keep. Do we play around discard? No, we play around artifact destruction. I think on turn 1. I mean, if they have discard, they could just hit my Pelucranos too. I'm going to go Elf, Island next turn, Ruby into Pelucranos, I think. I mean, I could have held up Counterspell, but I think if you're going to run a card like Pelucranos, getting him out on turn 2 is probably, that's what he does, right? All right. If we're playing against a red deck, I feel very good here with having a Pelucranos on board, but we'll see. Pelucranos, go. And then I got a Strip Mine for next turn? Seems good. Pelucranos is pretty tough for red deck wins decks to beat. Pelucranos is bad against most things, but red deck wins decks, he is not. Okay. Okay, Mutavault. Your hand does not get any better than that, man. Alright. Are they dead next turn? They actually are, I think. I mean, Pelucranos is a 5/5. Just a big-ass dude. Just a big-ass fucking dude. He's bad against the Doomblade, that's for sure. But probably good against green dudes. Okay. That thing's going to die. Actually, they're just dead next turn, right? Because I get a land. Okay. You have to attack. You got to get in there with that guy. That's all he knows is the battle. Sure. I don't need to show him Time Walk here. I could, but if they can win from 19 on 5 cards with 3 mana, up to 4 mana, good on them, but I don't think they can. Alright, they can kill my win con, though. Time Walk. Have to block. Block him. Yeah. Then I guess I had to show him the Time Walk. Whatevs. Alright. Huh. Well, what else do I want to do? Master the Wild Hunt. Master the Wild Hunt's probably fine in this matchup. I mean, he's got to be dealt with, right? Just another dude. Just another, big guy. I mean, probably better than Vivian Reed, right? Do I want Phyrexian Revoker? Probably not. Porcelain Legionnaire is not horrible, though. I mean, Dak Faden is kind of medium in this matchup. He's still good enough because he filters my draw out. But we do need to keep in mind we're playing against red deck wins, so like we are going to want our cards that we consider bad generally. Like we're going to want Pelucranos Master, Virtuous Gearhawk, Whisperwood Elemental, Inferno Titan. Just all our big dudes. Like we want them around. I think they are important to the matchup. We could just take a Green Sun Zenith to have a replica of any one of these dudes and cut Dak Vaden. I don't know about that. Maybe Search for tomorrow. Maybe we cut Search and put in Green Sun Zenith. Just because our 4-drops and 5-drops are so important. Because we have pretty good mana. I mean, that game was just a beating. Sylvan Library is a little worse, too. Maybe we want just another blocker. Or like Rofalos. Sylvan's still pretty decent. I mean, it's on the draw. It's not as decent. You know what? Maybe we just take this out and put this guy in. Just more people. More people to block. And Rofalos can attack, too. He's not... He's a 2-power attacker, so he's no joke that way. I mean, that's a bit of damage. It's a pretty fair rate. I mean, Phyrexian Revoker, Thalia. I mean, given Thalia's really good in battle because she has first strike, but hey. I'll also put in Porcelain Legionnaire. Over what that point, though? Like Char, Char's damage to me, too. Although Char deals with 4 toughness dudes, which Red doesn't really have. Yeah, get in there, dude. I'll sub you in there, too. I think Char is kind of bad. It's just too much mana. I'm sorry, guys. My sideboarding process, like I continuously like sub and unsub. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, maybe we could do this. Especially with this kind of deck, because this deck is kind of like weird. It's a mid-range deck. Yeah, I can do better. And I could do better. Keep. Top it. Go. Yep. Go. If we're lucky, they'll pump this thing and not burn my dude off. Yep, take it. Alright, they're going to burn my dude off. Oh, they're not. They're going to stop him with this? Okay. Cool. Well, now I will block with it. Alright, go ahead. Nope, not attacking. You'll have to burn it off now if you'd like. And then I've got a Master of the Wild Hunt, which Bear's dealing with next turn. Sure. Okay. This will very likely get burned off. It probably needs to, right? Not as good as Pelucranos, but what can you do? Okay. Alright, can he kill me? A lot of power on the board. A lot of power. Inferno Titan would be my best draw. Yeah, that's fine. They have 2 3 damage burn spells. Cool. You got 2? Okay. Okay. Oh, show me the money, man. I don't think you got it. Do you have it? Do you have 4 damage to my face? Char. No, I didn't think so. You want to try to spook me out? I wasn't spooked. I mean, there's like only a couple cards that do it. I didn't think you could do it. You have to have flame. It had to be Fire Blast or Char. What else is 4 exactly? Flame Slash is only the creature, so you have to be like a Char or Fire Blast. I think 4 is a lot of damage. Like or like a Flyer. Like a Flyer could do it. Hazoret doesn't do shit. Like she just bounces off something. So, anyways, guys, Rug Fair Midrange. Now it had a Time Walk, which is awesome, and it also had a Strip Mine combo, which won me one game with Ramonep Excavator. But honestly, at the end of the day, it was just a fair midrange deck, which is kind of cool to see it do well. No, I think it had a lot to do with pairings. I mean, our last pairing there against Red Deck Wins was pretty good. But one of the interesting things about the midrange decks, it's kind of like any metagame, is you could have a deck like this, it's kind of mishmash, and plays like some bad cards like Pelucranos, like Polyk, and like Virtuous Gearhulk. And I say bad, they're not bad cards. They're good cards, don't get me wrong, but they're not good in comparison to like a full-blown Storm deck. Like, this is a bad deck against a Storm deck, right? I mean, like, you're just hoping to clock them as quick as you can, and it's not that fast at clocking. So the thing that's kind of cool, though, about this deck is that, well, it's not good against those decks. That's why I say, like, Polyk's bad. But Polyk's not bad. A 4-mana 5/5 that can become bigger is good. It's a good card. But the funny thing is about a deck like this is that what it actually is better at beating is the stuff that's good at beating the really good deck. So, like, White Weenie is not good against this style of deck. Red Deck Wins, is, as you can see, was not that great against this deck. I mean, they were on the play, and they did what they were meant to do, and they still lost. They got us down to 4 in the second game, but I mean, like, our stuff was just bigger, grindier, gained more card advantage. You know, just it did more. It was more economic and less efficient. But that said, I mean, that's why I think like a hedge deck like this, where it's a literal mid-range deck, even though it's certainly not a best deck in this format, can do well, because if you end up facing off against, the decks that are good against the really good decks, the really unfair decks, then you can kind of get away with murder, right? Because, I mean, we beat a red deck because we had a Pelucranos on turn 2 or whatever it was, like a Mox, Manadork Mox, 2 lands, Pelucranos, and they finally dealt with it on turn 4 after they got beat down to 1 life and then died to a Noble Hierarch off a Time Walk. But the other thing going for this deck is it has 2 Moxen, and it has a Time Walk, right? So, like, those are all stellar cards. But, they call it the Power 9. I mean, there's only 8 drafters, so, I mean, if one person gets 3 pieces of it, I mean, how lucky is that? I'm just kidding. It's pretty lucky. So, I mean, we got lucky on that. Time Walk definitely won us quite a few games as well. It's a pretty powerful effect, especially when you're putting creatures down. And actually, this is the sort of deck that I think Time Walk, there's probably better builds, like Blue-Red Tempo is probably the best build for Time Walk, or Jeskai Tempo is probably the best build for it, one of those two. But this deck's also making good use out of Time Walk. It's not using it like an Explorer. It has good creatures that you can use a Time Walk, not only get an untap and possibly play more creatures and get a draw step, but actually do some attacking and change some combat math and some clocks on folks. The other good use of Time Walk in the cube is generally going to be on Planeswalkers, and we don't have a ton of those. I mean, we have a very good one in Dak Faden, which did some work in the first game we played. But just in general, kind of a cool mid-range deck. And, I'll probably put this one up as kind of like... it's another one of my synopsis videos, because like this is nearing the end of the cube, and I recently put up a synopsis on some of the decks that I think are... Well, two of the decks that I think are the top-tier decks. I think I think like any Eternal format is going to have the best Xerox decks, which are blue decks in this format, which basically means that they're capable of finding what they need when they need to find it, and they win that way, and they have great card selection, the best of card selection at efficient rates. Now, the blue decks in Cube are not even remotely close to like the vintage Xerox decks. They just don't have, the capability. And actually, the best Xerox decks probably in existence right now are probably in Legacy, because vintage tends to play Xerox through massive draw effect. Like you have 2 Jaces and like a Brainstorm, Ponder, and Ancestral. And, Ancestral is really just a mass draw effect. It's not really per se Xerox. Xerox really operates off of the notion of Brainstorm is kind of how the deck came to be. And then, at one point Thawing Glaciers and now Fetch Lands that allow you to get rid of cards that are relevant in the matchup you're in and get relevant cards to the matchup. And then ideally never see those cards that you don't want to play in the matchup again, because you shuffle your library after you put them back in. Those kind of decks are probably the best decks, that variety of decks. And like it may look like a Tinker deck, it may look like a Sneak and Show deck, but they're generally going to be blue-based, have a lot of blue cards in them. And those are probably the best. And, even some Storm varieties are Xerox-y, and like Xerox doesn't per se need to be like Brainstorm. It could just be very efficient tutors, tutor effects, or ways to get things out of your hand. Like Dak Faden. Dak Faden is kind of like a Xerox engine, right? Because like you're ditching the cards that you don't need into your graveyard. And in Vintage, now they're restricted at least, but you have Treasure Cruise to dig through time, and you do in this format as well. And in a format like Cube, where your card power level is so vastly different, like that's a very powerful effect. It's probably almost as powerful, if not more powerful, than being able to steal an artifact. Which, although relevant and is more obviously powerful, the steal and artifact mode, the getting the loot is probably more insidious than you'd think, just first looking at the card, because you have your Pelucranoses of the world, which in some matchups against red deck wins, Pelucranos is a rock star. It's a fucking rock star. It's Michael Jordan on the field. Like you see that thing hit on turn 2 or whatever it was, and you're just like, on the red deck, you're just like, oh fuck, like I can't win, right? But if I'm playing against blue, like Pelucranos is a pile of crap. Like I don't want that guy. I mean, I don't want it against the white-black deck, the Esper Pie deck. It's just going to get Doombladed or whatever. I've got to bide my time until I can protect it, or I can get a couple hits in and maybe kill him. So it's a different game, right? So those are the best kind of decks. I did another video piece on the White Weenie X decks, like the White Weenie Black, White Weenie Black Green, just White Weenie Pure. I think those are actually one of the other best decks of the format, because they are the prison deck kind of the format, and that's kind of like going to the old Eternal breakdown of formats being, either prison or either Xerox or prison. The prison decks being the decks that are able to shut off the engines of the Xerox decks, and the reason White Weenie can do that is because they have cards like Phyrexian Revoker, they have cards like Title of Scholar, they have cards like Scrubland, Mother of Runes, and while Mother of Runes may not look like a taxi card, she stops removal, which basically it has a lot of cards that pair up well with basically acquiring virtual card advantage, whether that's through not allowing folks to cast their spells or not use the cards they have invested mana in, or it's literally making them cost more, like Thalia. White is actually very good at that, and I think a lot of folks underwrite the deck quite a bit, and I do think it is one of the top tier strategies. I also did one on Green Ramp. I'm not a fan of that deck. Also, kind of like I'm not really a fan of this style of mishmash deck that I just built. They're decks that can win cubes, like you saw. I mean, that green deck I put up did win the cube. But green tends to be exceedingly linear, especially one that does not splash any other colors. And it kind of just has a very narrow game plan. And if it works in an overwhelmingly spectacular way, because the deck is very linear, and when it works appropriately with cards like Raphaelos into Crater of Behemoth, it's a pretty foregone conclusion that you win, if they don't stop you. But if they Toxic Deluge you on turn 3 or 4, and you lose like 4 Mana Dorks, and then you have a Crater of Behemoth stuck in your hand, they've essentially acquired, maybe like more than what they kill on the board, like a 5 or 6 for 1 if you have cards you can't cast that you're drawing at that point. So I'm not a huge fan of that style of deck. I don't think it's a top tier strategy in the format, and I think you'll tend to see green go later because of that. But I do think green has some pretty key advantages as well. It's probably one of the few colors you can actually play as a monochromatic deck and be successful with it, or at least it'll function. But I do think it actually becomes a lot better. Its value goes up a lot when it's mixed in with some other colors, specifically blue. Blue-green is probably one of the better Xerox style decks because it has a good range of threats, good volume of threats, and it also has the ability to draw off of blue, and it also has interaction from blue, so you can actually stop things like the Toxic Deluge that kills your board or whatever. Then you have decks like this, which this is just essentially a pure mid-range deck. I kind of have a broad range of different cards. So I think one of the advantages a deck like this has, even though I do not think it's a top-tier archetype or strategy, is that it's very hard to predict what I'm going to do. One game you may be fighting against an Inferno Titan, or one game you may be fighting against Manglehorn Strip Mine, and the next game I may be sitting there at jump blue mana saying, hey, I'm going to counter your spell even if I don't have it. And then I drop an Inferno Titan late game and blow you out with it. That's kind of what you saw there. Like, I don't think they knew what to expect from me. And I possibly misinterpreted what they were trying to do too, because I don't normally see people Demonic Tutor and do nothing on the turn they Demonic Tutor. I normally expect them to do something after they've done that, especially if they're behind on board. If they're dying on the board, I expect them to do something. But that's kind of the advantage you have of a deck like this. Like your range is pretty wide, so you have a lot of room to play with it, and you also have a lot of bluff equity with a deck like this because it's hard to predict what you're going to do because you just have so many different cards. I mean, you have Incinerate, you got a Mana Leak, you got Manglehorn, Char. This almost just looks like a pile, but there is advantage to having decks that kind of look like the pile deck, and it also obviously helps to have 3 pieces of power because that's just, going to put you over a lot of the time if you get to Time Walk at an opportune time. Like we did against the Red Deck Wins deck. I think without Time Walk, we probably lost that game, but being able to basically remove their entire board, excepting the one silly Hellrider, certainly allowed us to win that game. I mean, we basically just set up the board up so they had to attack in with it or they had to block with it. They obviously had to because, they're looking to Mize at that point. They're looking to find, some way to do 2 additional damage with 0 mana, which the only way I can think of is probably a Fire Blast, especially if they're going to, or 4 damage Pier with 1 spell, which is going to be Fire Blast or Char. Complemented with the Firebolt they had in their yard. But anyways, it's kind of the advantage you get when you play like pure mid-range in Vintage Cube. I don't think it's the best strategy. I've only done this strategy like twice in the Cube. I did Jund one time, and I got very favorable matchups with Jund as well, and I managed to go 3-0 with it. But the one cool thing about Jund in comparison to this deck is that it actually has a lot of 2-for-1 advantage cards. And this deck has a few of those as well. You have your Manglehorn, you have your Ramonep Excavator. Pelucranos can be a 2-for-1. He's not the turn he comes into play generally unless you have a lot of mana. The Whispered Elemental is a 2-for-1. Muldrifter. I guess this deck does have quite a few. Oracle Ball Die. It's got some value going on. But Jund probably more so. On the whole, I think it had less powerful cards, but it was very grindy, and it was able to beat up on most of the fair decks, and actually it was able to outcard the blue decks, which was one of the cool things. Now I didn't face like a real 90th percentile blue deck with like Ancestral Recalls and stuff like that, but I did face 2 blue decks, and then I think like a Storm deck or something like that, and I was just able to get take their hand apart. I had like Mind Twist, Kolaghan's Command, Him, Thoughtseize, Duress. I had a bunch of discard effects. Well, not all of them were main deck, but a lot of them I sideboarded in. I was able to get them. But Jund can attack from a lot of angles. You have discard, you have the burn to manage the board, then you have green dudes just to beat them to death. And you have some graveyard disruption with stuff like Scavenging Ooze, etc. But anyways, mid-range, very cool strategy in Vintage Cube. It's not one that I would recommend trying to force. I think oftentimes it's what you fall into when you misdiagnose a signal early, kind of like I did. I started jumping into an archetype probably a little earlier than I should, based upon what I expected would be a signal that I was sending to the other side of the table. But the problem with my signaling is someone else had I think, determined when they jumped in that they were going to force a deck. And when we started seeing that the deck we were trying to signal to remain open to us was not open, we jumped way off of it because you do not want to play a bad white weenie deck. A good white weenie deck is great. A bad white weenie deck is horrific. Like, it's really bad. Like, you need really the pieces to come together to make the deck work. I would rather play this than a bad white weenie deck. And you can even see some of the cards we pulled in. I mean, we pulled in the Porcelain Legionnaire, and it would have been fine against Red Deck Wins. I mean, it eats a Hellrider all day long if they don't have burn for it. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the draft and the gameplay and the explanation here at the end of kind of how I see Cube. I believe I'm going to close it out now. This is my 41st Cube. I actually went through my little tracker chart and checked out how many I'd played. I just got number 40 this morning with a pretty cool Pretty cool 3-color Death and Taxes deck. Actually, I'll pull it up for you real fast. It's a really sweet deck. Not that pile. This pile right here. This deck was really sweet. Probably one of my favorite decks I've drafted because I've always been kind of like a fan of the white weenie style decks. And normally I splash black in it because I think black is a little more interactive than green is in this format. Because we lost Kusali Pride Mage. We lost Gaddock Teague. That may have been a few cycles ago. But we gained Knight of Autumn, and I wanted to play Knight of Autumn in this deck because I've always seen the card. I'm like, I really want to play that card. And like Rex Sage would be another card I want to play, or Manglehorn as well, and do like a 3-color Hate Bears deck. And that's essentially what I built, is 3-color Hate Bears. And it was a pretty cool re-rendition of this archetype. I did it up a little playable short, and you see like Avacyn Archangel at the top end there, even though I have a Selfless Spirit for Wrath protection. But the deck was pretty cool. I mean, and it had a decent number of flyers as well, even though its top end had no Geddon on it. But the deck itself was pretty sweet. It was definitely a very fun deck to play. But this is number 41 here. I think it's probably going to be one of the last ones I do for this season. Managed to take down 27 of these out of 41. So, well, I mean, that's running pretty good. I mean, I've definitely had some good fortune, but definitely also got to build some pretty cool decks. And I hope this content is helpful if you're a newer cube drafter, or even if you're a veteran one, because I know I have had a lot of folks tell me that they've watched my drafts and like, you draft like shit, and I'm like, I don't think I am, because it's maybe different than how some people approach it. I know it's a little different than how some people approach it, but it's certainly been effective. So hopefully there's something in there you guys can pull out and either get better at cube or just enjoy the content in general. Okay, guys, enjoy now and take care.